Ah, I am extremely disappointed with MLB The Show 24. I think I'm kind of past the point of worrying right now because they've showed us our hand. They've showed us how things are going to go. And at least till right now, about a month and a half into this game cycle, there's not even one slight instance where it seems like things are going to change, especially after this latest debacle. We're going to talk about it. Leave a like down below. Subscribe to the channel. I'm not happy. We'll see how long I rant. So, as a lot of you guys know, there's been a lot of people voicing their transgressions with MLB 24 due to basically everything being pack-oriented. If you go into the pack market, there's not a day that comes that there's not a 30,000 to 40,000 stub pack for you to go ahead and rip for, albeit pretty good cards like this Kyle Tucker that just recently came out. He's definitely good, but it's a 30K pack that causes his price to go for about 75K. You've got guys like Cal Raleigh from the most recent season awards, which he's cheap. Most of these cards in the season's awards packs typically go well over 6 digits. And then you've got your bi-weekly chase pack, which Yordan Alvarez currently sits in at a cool 170,000 stubs. And then you've got your twice weekly headliner packs that comes out with top-of-the-line overall cards. And naturally, if you compare what you get by playing the game, you get a 93 when there's 95s in packs. And for completing 4 programs, you get a 95. Well, again, there's better cards in packs at the moment. And there has been good programs, which I think that's kind of what's frustrating too, is they did the Easter program well. This Jackie Robinson drop was orchestrated well. You get good cards for not having to do too much, and it's pretty fun. It's a fun little playthrough. And then even the Show Classics program for Cody Bellinger, Gleyber Torres, and then finally releasing one of their high-esteemed packs within the program, albeit it was a previous pack that was about 3 weeks old at the point. Still, I'm happy about it. They can do right. They just choose not to. So all that to say, they're constantly putting out new, intriguing, captivating cards in packs that, the packs cost 40,000 stubs, which will go on why that's such a big issue in a little bit here. But you get probably 80% of the new cards released in packs and maybe 20 in programs. And obviously, those are the lesser content, which completely goes against everything that MLB The Show is built on. Because people came here because Madden was such a piece of shit. And 2K fucked you over and stole the last 4 digits of your credit card number when you logged in. And now MLB is going down that route. So it's basically saying screw you to the people that choose to play offline because they prefer it. They might not have the PlayStation Plus, the Xbox Pass, because you have to pay money to play online video games these days. If you're old enough, you remember that used to not be the case, but it is these days. So they're screwing over the people that play offline by offering less programs and lesser cards. And now with this newest game update 7, this to Battle Royale. New reward changes. Previously, rewards for each milestone, 2nd, 5th, 8th, and 10th win, were determined at the start of the run. Some users might recognize what the 5th, 8th, and 10th win reward would be based on the reward identified in the 2nd win. A lot of you guys that play Battle Royale probably know what we're talking about here. If you go into any MLB The Show stream, you can typically find a spreadsheet that shows what that first card reward is once you first draft your team. If you look at the eligible rewards, that card you can look up and find out what your eventual 10-win reward would be. So if it leads to a 87, 88 overall, a lot of people would choose to redraft because there's no point to play all that much for the hope to get, 5K? But now as you see it, the 2nd, 5th, 8th, and 10th win rewards are no longer tied together. Each will have its own pool of rewards independent of the others. And the rest basically reads The intended purpose of Battle Royale rewards are not for people to redraft until they get their ideal 10-win reward. And you know what? I agree. It's not ideal for you to have to sit there redrafting a team in hopes that you'll get rewarded for you playing well. It's not ideal that you have to look up on a spreadsheet, well, if I go 10 wins here, am I going to get a card worth playing for? Or am I going to get an 88 Mike Harris that goes for 6,000 stubs? That is not good. So now you fucked over the offline players, and now you're fucking over the online players just so all roads lead to you opening up your wallet and buying the packs on the store. And it makes perfect sense. If you earn less stubs by playing the game, well, you're going to have to come up with them somehow. And if you aren't getting as good of rewards and programs, well, you're going to have to get the better cards somehow. And by doing these, it keeps the prices up. And it keeps people wanting, or at least the illusion that people would actually want to pay for stubs. I mean, because if Shohei Ohtani is in Battle Royale, and obviously going 10-0 is not an easy feat, but there are people that have gone flawless 20 times this year already. I don't think that's a game design flaw. That's someone who's good at your game. And the thought there is if enough people get these cards, they're going to go down in price. And then, well, if Shohei Ohtani, if he's no longer 150K, if he's 50K, well, that's going to deter people from wanting to buy packs. Because if the best case scenario is a 50K pull, what's the reason you would buy a bundle that costs more than that? I do want to be clear when I talk about online modes, because I do not think they are rewarding as they could be, but I don't think that's fault due to the programs, where a lot of people would place the blame. I don't think it's an issue that you have a program that allows people to get these cards, you know, your 97 DeGrom, 97 Mike Cameron, by playing the game, but not necessarily reaching World Series. I think they actually structure this very well. It's gated. If you aren't good enough to get to 900 rating, you literally cannot get these cards until halfway through that ranked season, which allows the better players to get there first and, if they so choose, sell the card and make stubs. And here's the overarching issue. If all your content releases in packs, in 30,000 stub packs like this Kyle Tucker, who is a good card at a 96 overall, but he'll be outpaced next week, and he goes for 75,000 stubs, which, now that you can't get as many stubs by actually playing the game, who can afford it? And who would want to buy this card when there's better coming out next week? I really do like the concept of their sets and seasons. I really do. But it can't work this way because nobody is going to be interested. I mean, let's do a direct comparison of this 97 Yordan Alvarez. Notch him up with the live series, who, by the way, gets inside edge boost every day the Astros play. Why in the hell would you pay over 100 USD valuation for this card? And of course, the discourse shifts to, then who cares? Don't buy it. What's your complaint? The complaint is when all the cards are put in packs that aren't worth it, there's no content. And I think something that also frustrates me is they give out cards like this Jose Altuve, which no doubt he is good. It's a good card. I'm glad that we got him. It just makes you think, why couldn't this card be in a program, or at least a conquest map? Give people something to play for, while also making this content available. Because as it sits, nobody is using these cards. We get to a point where if things are so expensive, people just will not care. If they see this Nico Goodrum at 180K, and with how stubs are so difficult to earn by playing the game, people will just disregard this card because they know it's not obtainable for them. But if he was, I don't know, 100K, because a pack was in a program and, he's more obtainable, then maybe you spend $20 to split the difference to be able to afford him. But as it sits right now, I have no chance. So this card is basically nothing to me until they put out free stuff at the same overall. Again, what content is there for people? And that's not to mention maybe my biggest frustration this year. They boosted captain cards so hard this year. They heard the complaints that people didn't think they were worthwhile to use last year, at least the wide majority of last year. So they made them better. But what did they do? What did they decide on? Well, they chose to paywall them. $40K minimum to access the opportunity to team build. It's insane. And even the ones that are free, you can't get because there's 2 hitters and 2 pitchers in the program path, and they gave out 1 for free. So unless you bought them early game when you could, you have 5 team captains out of the 60 that exist. If you want people to give a shit about your 93s that you put out in programs, let them team. If you can't use them in theme teams, they're irrelevant after 1 week. We've gotten to a point, and I always find it funny because it does mirror real life, where everything is so expensive within the game. If you look at the content they put out, since the pack prices are so high, nobody wants the cards because they're not good enough, or they're not going to be good enough in a week. They're going to be outpaced. Nobody buys the pack, so the cards are through the roof, and nobody can earn stubs. So nobody accesses the new content. You play the same players, the same cards, face the same lineups every goddamn game that you play. That it just becomes so amazing that they decided on this as their core game. It's outstanding. And I don't entirely fault San Diego Studios themselves, because there's not a shred of doubt in my mind that they got the call from Sony, the higher-ups, that, hey, Electronic Arts is doing this with their EAFC and their Madden, and 2K is doing this with their My Team. They're churning out all this money year in and year out, and you're not doing it. Let's start to do it. But even still, it's possible to achieve both goals, to entice people to spend and still have the people that don't want to spend stick around and enjoy themselves. Because at the end of the day, if you screw those people over, if they don't enjoy your game, what makes you think they're going to say, oh, well, I'll just spend then? If they don't like your game, they're going to play any of the other games that are currently out. I mean, this isn't, even 2016 anymore. There's so many games, so many developers fighting tooth and nail for people's attention. People will divert their attention sooner rather than later if you don't figure this out. It's so frustrating. Obviously, as someone who creates content for this game, a less fun game makes it less fun to create content, and a less fun game means less people care, so less eyes. So obviously, it's not in my interest for the game to be bad, right? I want this to be better. That's why I talk about it. And I don't know. Like I said, we're a month and a half in. We're approaching about a month away until Season 2 drops within their game. There's just seemingly no light at the end of the tunnel right now. There's nothing that screams, oh, well, things are turning around. Because there's something that seems not bad, and then they screw it up by the next 2 content updates. It's like there's 1 good update for every 4 bad ones. And that will not be able to keep your game alive. So let me know in the comments section what you guys think. I'm very interested to hear what your thoughts are. Maybe you think it's the greatest game of all time. If you do, I'm happy for you. At the end of the day, my goal should be the same as their goal. Have people enjoy their game. If people enjoy your game, I promise you they will be all that more willing to fund your game elsewhere. They're going to be willing to shell out a couple dollars to buy some packs. But you can't do this to people and expect you're going to have a good working relationship with them. That's all. Goodbye. fix your shit.